Hello, you're watching Shalom World News. I'm Dana Villa from Chicago, USA. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. Researchers at Meir Amit Intelligence and Terrorism Information Center in Israel have reported on its website that the media wing of ISIS has started a campaign calling for terror attacks against Christians all around the world, following the burning of a copy of a Quran in Sweden by Danish-Swedish politician Rasmus Paludan in opposition to Turkey and Islam. The campaign was announced. Videos and posts urging ISIS operatives to carry out attacks around the world, particularly in Europe, were shared on social media as part of the campaign. Muslims around the world are called upon to see the act of burning the Quran as an insult to the religion and to shed the blood of the perpetrator. It was emphasized that all Muslims must protect their religion if they want to go to heaven. In the aftermath of the deadly tremors that killed over 41,000 people in Turkey and Syria, Pope Francis dispatched aid to both nations through the Dicastery for Service of Charity. Crates of supplies sailed from the port of Naples on the MSC Aurelia cargo vessel, which is due to arrive in Turkey's Iskenderun in 2 days. The ship is also carrying 10,000 thermal jumpers that Papal Almoner Cardinal Konrad Krajewski personally provided, in addition to assistance from the Italian government and other NGOs. The thermal clothing is going to the Kilis refugee camp in Turkey. The Rava Foundation, which offers food and shelter to thousands of homeless individuals, will oversee the distribution of the aid. Meanwhile, the Turkish Medical Association has issued health advisories regarding infectious diseases, stating that deterioration of infrastructure raises the danger of water and foodborne illnesses. Prominent U.S. Christian charity Samaritans Purse has opened a field hospital in Antakya, southern Turkey, which was flattened by the quakes. The 52-bed hospital was set up after a prominent hospital in the area was devastated by the tremors. Thousands of people require medical attention, and over 40,000 people have perished in Antakya. Samaritans Purse reported on Monday, February 13, that in the first few hours after the field hospital opened, doctors and nurses had seen dozens of patients. Samaritans Purse will also bring supplies to the most impacted areas, including tarps, blankets, and solar lights. More than 100 Disaster Assistance Response Team, or DART personnel, will be stationed locally by the organization to assist in hospitals and other areas of need. Samaritans Purse is headed by evangelist Franklin Graham, son of the late prominent preacher Billy Graham. Here in the United States, several Catholic groups have joined the fight against FDA's approval of abortion-inducing drug mifepristone by signing an amicus brief in a lawsuit against the agency. The FDA approved mifepristone in year 2000, and it can be used to terminate an unborn child up to 10 weeks into the pregnancy. Although a prescription is required, a person can obtain a prescription for the medication without receiving any in-person care and then can pick up the medication in person or by mail. The Alliance for Hippocratic Medicine, a pro-life medical group, sued the FDA in Texas because the agency violated its legal duty by authorizing the medicine. Amicus brief, often known as a friend of the court paper, had been signed by numerous pro-life organizations, 67 members of Congress, and almost 24 state attorneys general in support of the Alliance for Hippocratic Medicine action. Recently, several Catholic organizations also joined the campaign against abortion pills. U.S. bishops have opened the registration for the National Eucharistic Congress in 2024. It is for the first time in 83 years that such a Congress is going to be held on American soil. The registration began on February 14. The event will be held in Indianapolis from July 17 to 21 next year, and it is expected to reignite Eucharistic devotion. The Congress will last for 5 days, will feature prayers, lectures, and liturgical celebrations. It will serve as the culmination of the bishop's 3-year National Eucharistic Revival campaign, which got underway on June 19, 2022. The National Eucharistic Revival campaign began because of a 2019 Pew survey which found that only 31% of Catholics agree with a fundamental tenet of their religion, that the body and blood of Christ are genuinely and substantially present in the Eucharist. Next year's Congress will be the 10th National Eucharistic Congress and the first since 1941. The Vicar General of the Holy Father for Rome Diocese, Cardinal Angelo De Donatis, will preside over the prayer vigil at the Basilica of St. John Lateran on February 24 to mark the first anniversary of the outbreak of the war in Ukraine. Since the outbreak of the conflict, Pope Francis has been continuously making calls for peace and has repeatedly sought prayers for the war-torn nation. Meanwhile, Yale University researchers have identified 43 camps and other facilities in Russia where Ukrainian children are being held for indoctrination. A U.S.-backed assessment claims that Russia has detained at least 6,000 Ukrainian children and probably many more in facilities in Russia and the Crimean Peninsula. Researchers claim that the primary purpose of the camp facilitates appears to be a political re-education. They can also be told that the piece of evidence that Russia has committed genocide during its war in Ukraine since the transfer of children for purposes of altering or eliminating national identity can constitute a component act of the crime of genocide. Polish couple Josef and Victoria Ulma and their 7 children who were murdered by the Nazis for harboring a Jewish family will be beatified this year. The entire Ulma family, including one unborn child, will be brought one step closer to sainthood on September 10, according to a statement issued on Tuesday, February 14, by the Archdiocese of Przemyśl. The beatification will be conducted at Markowa, the village in southeast Poland, where the Ulma family was executed in 1944. The main celebrant and the legate of the Holy Father will be Cardinal Marcello Semeraro, the prefect of the Vatican Dicastery for the Causes of Saints. In a proclamation issued December 2022, Pope Francis recognized the martyrdom of the couple and their kids. The Jewish community in turn has recognized the Ulmas as righteous among the nations for their sacrifice, and they will be remembered at the World Holocaust Remembrance Center. In Ireland, the number of believers attending the church's marriage preparation classes conducted by Accord CLG has returned to pre-pandemic levels. Tony Shahanan, the organization's director who assists Catholic men and women in completing programs to prepare for holy matrimony, made this announcement recently. As many as 4,610 Catholic couples participated in 297 programs run by CLG last year. According to Shahanan, the Central Statistics Office released figures for 2021 saying 57% of all weddings in Ireland had religious ceremonies, out of which 39% comprised Catholic marriages, with the number standing at 6,721. This proves that the future is bright as far as church weddings are concerned. Separately, Bishop Dennis Nulty of Kildare in Leighlin announced that he was planning to designate a Sunday of welcome to greet newly married couples on their first, second, and third wedding anniversaries. He said in a statement that Pope Francis wants bishops and priests to accompany couples in their life journey. Monsignor Francisco Cesar Garca Magan, the Secretary General and spokesperson for the Spanish Episcopal Conference, has backed the right of the laity who offer prayers outside abortion facilities. The laity has a freedom of action in the public realm within the teachings of the Catholic Church given by the pastors, he said. These remarks were given at the signing of the Interreligious Declaration on the Dignity of Human Life by various Christian confessions and the Islamic Community of Spain. The signatories show their growing concern for several decades. Laws have been promoted and accepted in which, in some situations, human life is significantly jeopardized in increasingly secular Spain. The First Minister of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon, has declared her intention to step down. She said that no one should occupy a particular political position for an excessive amount of time. Sturgeon has also asserted that she lacked the stamina to go on. She is stepping down after remaining as the First Minister of the nation for over 8 years. The Scottish government's proposed changes to gender laws are the subject of debate at the time of Sturgeon's stunning revelation. Sturgeon has given the Scottish National Party, or the SNP, which is in power, the order to start the process of choosing a new leader. She would stay in the government until her replacement is selected. Amnesty International stated that the presidential and National Assembly elections in Nigeria, scheduled for February 25th, must be free from acts of violence and intimidation. Strong safeguards must be in place to stop the human rights abuses, demanded the global organization. Osai Ohigio, director of Amnesty International Nigeria, said the authorities must ensure that journalists, local and international election observers, and other stakeholders can carry out their activities safely before, during, and after the elections without fear of violence or intimidation. According to him, human rights abuses should not be tolerated. Any intimidation, as well as any encouragement of hatred and provocation, must be openly denounced by the Nigerian government, political parties, and candidates. It is now up to all parties involved to show that they support human rights and pledge to further defend them in Nigeria. Catholic leaders in Oklahoma City claimed they have made progress in securing government support for a Catholic charter school that operates online. St. Isidore of Seville Catholic Virtual School will debut as the first institution of its kind in the U.S. in autumn of 2024 if approved by the Oklahoma Statewide Virtual Charter School Board. The Archdiocese of Oklahoma City and the Diocese of Tulsa, with assistance from the University of Notre Dame, have been working on the application for more than a year. If approved, the school, which is named for the Internet's patron saint, would be given state education funding for its Catholic-based curriculum, which it would offer both online and in Catholic schools in Oklahoma, including Bishop Kelly in Tulsa. The earliest a decision can be reached is March 14, when the board meets again. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us tomorrow. In the meantime, you can visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.